What is up, my bitter bros? Maine-iac here with playoffs as they are. I should say. I think that's what I'm gonna work with. The playoffs as they are. In the NBA, this is what the standings would look like right now if the playoffs started today. Granted, after 12 or 13 games respectively for some teams. Some teams might have lucked out and played only 11 so far, like San Antonio, Memphis, for example. But these standings are incredible when you look at it. It's just very, very interesting to see teams move in and out every week. This is why one reason why I want to do this series kind of gives a glimpse of teams that were in contention early in the season, give them some recognition, because the ones who tend to contend early but then fall out tend to fly under the radar. But as you can see here in the East, we have Toronto at the 1, Milwaukee at the 2. Milwaukee dropping their last game made it so they fell actually 2.5 games behind the Raptors already. Pacers at the 3, currently 4 games behind the Raptors. Celtics at the 4, currently 4.5 behind the Raptors. 76ers tied with the Celtics, but due to their record being 8-6 compared to 7-5, their win percentage is less, giving them the 5th seed. And then you have the Pistons at 5 games behind the Raptors. Charlotte at 5.5 behind the Raptors at 6-6, and Brooklyn at the 8th seed, 6 games behind the Raptors at 6-7, half a game ahead of the 9th and 10th seed, Orlando Magic and Miami Heat. And yes, the Magic right now would currently be the 9th seed in the East, only half a game out of the playoffs, which is absolutely insane when you think about it. Cleveland is currently still 1-11. Which is incredible to think this early in the season you are already 10.5 games behind the number 1 team in your conference. That's just sad. And then in the West, you have Golden State at the 1 seed. You have Portland and Denver. Portland at the 2 seed, Denver at the 3 seed. Both 1.5 games back. But Portland, I believe, currently owning whatever the better conference record, giving them, I believe, the 2nd seed. Then you have San Antonio, Memphis tied at 7-4 for the 4th and 5th seeds. Currently 3 games back, but like I said, I believe better conference record. San Antonio is currently 7-1 against the West. Gives San Antonio the edge here, which would mean San Antonio would host the series. Then you have the Clippers and Thunder at 7-5 each. Currently tied with conference record, but Clippers have the edge. I don't know if it's head-to-head or something like that. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? And you have the Kings running out at the 8th seed. That's it for who's actually in it and stuff like that. But who cares? Let's go over what the first round matchups would be currently. Golden State versus Sacramento Kings. I would love this matchup. Obviously, Warriors would probably be about 15, 16 point favorites in every single game. But I like the concept of grizzled superstar veterans versus the upstart young guys. Even if the young guys stand no chance, it's always fun to see them play against them, see how they do, because it could give you a scope of how the Kings would do in the future. I honestly think this would be a 4-game sweep. It might not necessarily be entertaining for everyone to watch, but I would love to see how Buddy Hield, Darren Fox, and Bjelica played for the Kings in this one. Some matchups they could probably do well in, considering it's the Kings versus the Warriors. And you have San Antonio versus Memphis as the 4 and 5. Like I said, they are currently tied. So this would be kind of an example of last year, I believe, when the 4th and 5th seeds were tied when they fought each other in the playoffs. I think advantage here goes to San Antonio if fully healthy. With DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge, I think they represent a really good core of people who can shoot from the outside, mid-range, and inside. And you also got a good point guard in Patty Mills. I think San Antonio would win that one in 6. Not underestimating Memphis. Marc Gasol is having another really good season, and Mike Conley is also having actually a really good season as well. The Memphis Grizzlies could be one trade away if they could swing one from actually being a pretty good contender. I'm not saying a serious contender, but pretty good contender. And then the next matchup would be the Denver Nuggets at the LA Clippers. I love the Nuggets in this one. I think it would be a 5-game win, but the Clippers are a really good defensive unit, and they are also really good collectively, I should say. Gallinari, not a great small forward, but when he's in the Clipper system, it seems to be he excels. Montrezl Harrell, I believe is his name, also excels really well here. And of course, Boban defensively can stop anybody on the Denver team from getting in the paint. I just believe Jokic is a step above anybody on the Clippers team. Jamal Murray can't be underestimated as well. Gary Harris is a really good player for the Denver Nuggets. I think, like I said, the Nuggets in 5. It would be a very good matchup anyway. It is interesting to see the Nuggets slip to the 3rd seed, because I honestly thought when Steph Curry was injured, the Nuggets might possibly gain up to the 1 seed, but if they start slipping now, when this is probably their best chance to go ahead of the Warriors, it could end up costing them towards the end of the season, but we will see. And you have the Portland Trailblazers at the Oklahoma City Thunder. This one would be very, very interesting. I believe currently Russell Westbrook is not healthy, but they have a solid backup point guard, and I believe Schroeder, who used to play for the Hawks, if I'm correct. But he's going up against Damian Lillard and Nurkic. Nurkic isn't a great center, but he does move the ball well. He does do what he needs to do relatively well. CJ McCollum is also a really good shooter. Not completely confident in Al-Farouq Aminu or Turner or Harkless or any of the forwards for the Trailblazers. So the matchup there would have to be Paul George taking advantage of that, but I believe the Trailblazers would probably win that in 6. And then you have Toronto versus Brooklyn. Brooklyn being in the playoffs for the East. I wouldn't have thought that was possible after that disaster of a Celtics trade they made for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. Oh boy. But it's nice to see him bounce back. Dinwiddie's been playing well. Russell's been playing well. LeVert has also been playing well for the Nets. I believe that's his name. I apologize if I'm wrong. I'm trying to get better at this. I think this would be a 4-game sweep with the Raptors. They really have no answer for Kawhi Leonard. Sakeem is also having a really good season for the Raptors. I believe he's locked himself into the starting 4 spot for the Raptors. And then, honestly, I think this Raptors team would be best with Lowry, Green, Leonard, Sakeem, and Ibaka at the center. I know Ibaka is probably more of a 4, and they like Valanciunas at center, and to switch Ibaka in, but I think Ibaka would be the better play there, just because of his shot blocking ability. I don't know if he still has it, but he does also stretch the floor, which could create opportunities for everyone else in the paint. And you have Boston at the Philadelphia 76ers. This one's very interesting for the recent trade that was made. Jimmy Butler to the 76ers for Saric and Covington and Jared Bayless, I believe, and a 2nd-round pick. They also did get another player back besides Jimmy Butler, but probably just a consideration to create roster space for the Timberwolves. The Boston Celtics in this one, the way they're playing, will probably lose in 6. Now, that is after the Jimmy Butler trade, and my thinking behind that is Jaylen Brown offensively can't play for squat lately. Jimmy Butler is a pretty good defensive player, so if they put Jimmy Butler on Jaylen Brown, they'd probably be all set there. But Jimmy Butler in the Sixers is probably going to play the 4 or the 3, which would match him up against Jason Tatum or Gordon Hayward. I think or Marcus Morris. I think defensively Marcus Morris could probably nearly shut down Jimmy Butler, or at least limit him to how much you need. The key matchup here would probably be Baines against Embiid, because I don't think you would want Horford guarding Embiid all the time. You'd want rotations set to put Baines in on a bulk of the minutes where Embiid plays if you want to have a peak matchup here. Another interesting matchup defensively is who do you have guarding Ben Simmons, because you know he can't shoot from range, so it's kind of useless to have Kyrie constantly defending in the paint just to guard Ben Simmons. So I think the matchup there would be probably Jason Tatum or Gordon Hayward, because they have length, they're 6'8" and stuff like that. But it would be a very interesting matchup. I think the obvious advantage there would be Joel Embiid at the center position. He can probably out-rebound the Celtics right now. The putback shots would be detrimental, so I do think the 76ers in 6. And then you have the Pacers at the Pistons. I like the Pistons here. I think they would steal a couple of games, but Sabonis, Oladipo, and the Pacers, I believe, would just be too energetic and stuff like that. I think Pacers win in 7 here. I think it would be a good series. It's a good series for Oladipo, good series for Blake Griffin. Then you have the Bucks at the Hornets. I think that would probably be a 5-game series, I think. I think Kemba Walker's good enough to win at least one game. And now let's see what NBA 2K has to say about this. We're gonna always have CPU adjust rotation because we are that. And it looks like Tice is day to day again. He always is day to day in this shit. Celtics have been eliminated in 5, just like I thought. Pacers swept. Bucks in 7. Raptors in 5. Warriors swept, just like I thought. Memphis in 7, which is very interesting indeed. But like I said, that's a close series, and Gasol does have a nice, decent matchup there. Denver swept the Clippers, which is interesting. They definitely do have the talent for that. And the Thunder beat the Trailblazers in 5. That one is actually probably the most shocking result so far, is the Thunder over the Trailblazers in 5. Although, if you do take into consideration the success that Trailblazers have had in the postseason, I can see why they would do that. And that's also assuming that the Oklahoma City Thunder don't have a shooting lull like they usually do in a stretch of games where they shoot roughly 30 to 40%. Oh, I should say roughly 30% for like 20 minutes in a game, and it like just kills their momentum. Other biggest surprise here, probably the Hornets stealing 3 games from the Bucks. That is very, very interesting because I didn't think they have a matchup for Giannis. So to see that, it's kind of fun because that's why I like these NBA 2K simulations, because anything can happen. I did kind of see the 76ers, although I did say in 6. In 5 is definitely reasonable. I guess the Pistons losing in 4 is kind of a surprise to me, but like I said, I think the Pacers can now energize them. And this brings up a lot of interesting matchups in the next round. I think the old guys and the Grizzlies probably get swept by the Warriors if everyone's healthy for the Warriors. It should be a fun series as well because I think the Grizzlies do have some history against the Warriors. And Denver against OKC would be very interesting as well. Adams against Jokic, Westbrook against the underrated point guards, or guards I should say, against of the Thunder. I think Nuggets win that one in 6. I think the Warriors sweep. And in the East, Raptors at the 76ers, or 76ers at the Raptors. With Jimmy Butler, this one's very, very interesting because you don't have the tallness and the length of Saric to stretch the range and pull out Sakim for the Raptors defensively. So you have, granted, Jimmy Butler would be playing the 4, but Saric, I believe, was 6'11", 6'10", somewhere around there, a couple inches more. I think personally this would leave Sakim able to defend inside better, so you could match him up possibly against Ben Simmons, and then you could put easily Kawhi Leonard on Jimmy Butler, mainly because no one else on that team is going to really necessarily scare you from range and inside besides Embiid, and Embiid kind of overpowers Leonard a little bit. So defensively, it would be Sakim probably against Simmons because Simmons can't play range for shit. And then you got possibly Kawhi Leonard against Jimmy Butler. It's going to be up to the other role players to step up for the Philadelphia 76ers. And without Sarge and Covington, some of the key role players that gave them success last year, I think the Raptors win this one in 5. Now, overall, yes, the 76ers did get better overall, but depth-wise, I think that blow, I think the floor stretching ability, losing 2 3-point shooters in gaining 1 shooter, might end up costing them a couple of games down the stretch. And then you have the Milwaukee Bucks against the Pacers. I like Giannis here all day. The Bucks in 6. But it's going to be up to Brogdon. I think Brogdon would be the key player here. If Brogdon could have a good series, I think the Bucks could possibly sweep. Look at that. Raptors in 5. Who knew? Warriors swept. Who knew? Thunder beat the Nuggets in 6. What the fuck? I think NBA 2K is riding all over that OKC jock strap right now because I don't think there's any way OKC goes 8-3 against the Nuggets and Trailblazers. I don't think there's no way. So it sets up the Warriors versus the Thunder, which the Warriors would absolutely destroy the Thunder in that matchup. They would probably take 4 out of 5, so it would probably be a 5-game series there. And then you have the Bucks against the Raptors. predictably about what I said about 6-game series, about a 5-game series there. Like I said, I don't necessarily like the matchups. I'm gonna just view a random box score here. Just randomly, if you look at that, Kawhi Leonard, boom, boom, boom. Also, an underrated matchup I did not mention, I like Ibaka against Joel Embiid. Ibaka does have the length, and Valanciunas is also a good defender as well. Look at the rebounds here. You have 3 people on the Raptors, including Greg Monroe, who have double-digit rebounds, which is absolutely insane. If you go to the 76ers, it looks like they put Ben Simmons out of the... They don't have Ben Simmons in the game, and it didn't adjust necessarily the trade, but I think still it would fold out about the same way. And then you have the trouble Raptors against the Bucks. I think overall Raptors more talented. Raptors in 6, so I think it's going to be a 5-game series, 6-game series, meaning it would be the Raptors versus the Warriors. I was close, 4-game series, 6-game series. I'm actually getting better at this. Maybe I'm getting into the head of the NBA 2K machine. This game, again, easily Warriors here. I think the Raptors currently are the best matchup to possibly dethrone the Warriors. I think the Raptors can at least steal 2 games here. I think it would be the Warriors in 6. Nope, it's a Warriors sweep. And again, Steph Curry MVP, but oddly averaging his lowest scoring output of the series at 22 points per game. The other videos I did, I think he averaged a little bit less. Well, averaged more, closer to 30. You have Durant, who put up 31 points, but didn't get the respect. If you look at this, rebounding wasn't really there for the Raptors. Leonard went 7 for 23, 1 for 11 from 3. You lost by 28 points. 28 points because Kawhi Leonard missed 16 shots. Seriously? Oh man, that's just awful. That's disappointing. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know from this playoff picture, what do you think is the biggest surprise currently in the season? Is it the Kings at the 8th seed? Is it the Nets at the 8th seed? Or is it something else like possibly the Hornets possibly still being in it? Or the fact that the 76ers are still way down at the 5 seed? And let me know, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.